In this video, we are going to go through two things. First is the nutrition pyramid, and second is our 3 nutrition rules. So, let's take a look at this nutrition pyramid. As you can see, there are a number of layers to the pyramid, and importance is based on the base being the most important and getting less important as we move on the way up. So there are 6 different tiers. We have adherence at the bottom. We then have calories, macronutrients, so our carbs, fats and proteins, and then we have micronutrients, meal timing, and finally supplements. Supplements are often where people start to focus when they are looking at getting in shape, when actually they make very little difference if you don't have the tiers below it in place. During this course and during your time at our gym, we are going to focus primarily on these bottom 3 layers of the pyramid: adherence, calories and macronutrients. Because if we get these right, we can start making some really impressive progress. Alright, so the nutrition rules. Now we know it's easy to get lost and confused when it comes to nutrition. There's loads of confusing, conflicting information out there and lots of people with different advice. So we like to make it nice and simple. That's what nutrition here is all about: simplicity. No fads, no crash diets, no dirty bulking, no weird supplements and no restrictions. Just a few simple, very effective, flexible guidelines that are easy to put into action and even easier to adjust to suit your goals, your personal preferences and your lifestyle. It's important to get those 3 nutrition rules right, because essentially getting your nutrition right so you can improve your strength, your body composition, your health, your performance, everything. These can all be broken down into these 3 really simple nutrition rules. So, rule number 1. 90% of the time, make your meals or the food choices a variety of single ingredient food. This is what that looks like, and it means having stuff like steak, sweet potatoes, peppers. These all have 1 ingredient. So have something like that for dinner instead of a ready meal packeted with chemical preservatives and who knows what else what. Anyway, another way to phrase this could be just to eat real food. And the reason we want to do this is because getting good quality nutrition gives us better energy. It satisfies our hunger better, it improves our health, and there's loads of other benefits. So you want to aim to include lots of good quality single ingredient foods and not to have your diet dominated by junk food and processed stuff. Rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. So you should definitely make sure that you get good quality whole foods dominating your daily food intake. That's why 90% of the time we want to stick to single ingredient foods as a part of our meals. But the other 10% of the time you can be flexible and pretty much eat whatever you want. So that's what this looks like. It's okay to have some donuts, it's okay to have some junk food, and it's okay just to enjoy some of the not so great food that you love. Don't worry about having these things every now and then, and just make sure that A, they don't dominate your diet, and B, when you do have them, they fit within your calorie targets for the day. We're going to talk about calories and tracking your food in a bit, but the reason we want them to fit into your calorie targets is so you don't massively overeat, because if you overeat, you consume too many calories and you are going to end up gaining unwanted body fat. And we know that to lose body fat, we need to be in a calorie deficit. This means consuming slightly less calories than our body is burning. Then to build muscle, we need to be in a calorie surplus. So that's where we are going to be consuming slightly more calories and our bodies are burning. So we can give our body the building blocks it needs to grow muscle. But within those targets, we can be flexible. We don't have to be on the clean eating diet all the time. We can have that 10% of flexibility. We are big advocates of this approach because it allows you to enjoy your life and not feel like you're on a strict diet all the time. It also means you can go out and have some ice cream when you go to the cinema with your partner, your kids, etc. And you can actually eat some cake at the birthday parties. But this is all relying on rule number 3. Now this one is a really important one. Rule number 3 is to track your food intake and hit your calories and macro targets daily. So macronutrients are protein, carbs and fats. Now this is important because if you don't track, you can't possibly know if you're eating too much or too little or even being consistent at all. And if you don't know that, then you can't realistically expect to get good long-term results. Like I said, the main reason for tracking is to see if your nutrition targets that have been set by your coach are actually working. And by that I mean, is eating this much food helping you reach your goal of building muscle or losing body fat? To start with, these targets from your coach are going to be an educated estimate. They are a starting point. But then when you check in with your coach and get your measurements done, we can see that maybe you need to eat more, maybe you need to eat less, and we can make those adjustments. It's important to try and be as accurate and as consistent as you can, and you can do all of this in an app called MyFitnessPal. Tracking your food allows us to monitor what you are eating and make adjustments in increasing or decreasing your calorie intake so your progress never plateaus for too long. So, as well as sticking to your rule number 1, 90% of the foods you eat have a single ingredient food, and rule number 2 being be flexible 10% of the time, you are also going to try stick to the rule number 3, which is to track your food intake and hit your calorie target every day. An important rule is to know that you're never going to be 100% spot on to the exact gram or to the exact calorie, but a good level of accuracy is to aim within 100 to 150 calories. So if your daily calorie intake is 2,500, then anywhere between 2,400 and 2,600 is really good. You are never going to be spot on exact calories every single day, but if we're hitting within the right ballpark, that's going to do the trick. So they are the 3 nutrition rules. We literally can't make it any simpler than that. Now, it's not easy because there are a lot of things that are going to getting this right every day. There are a lot of habits, there are a lot of hard work, there is a lot of consistency, but this is as simple and straightforward as nutrition can be broken down to. So those are 3 things. And the reason it's just these 3 things is because it's easy to understand, it's straightforward to be put into action, and most importantly, they work and get the job done. They get results. And on top of that, this is really, really important. You won't ever feel like you're dieting because there's that much flexibility. There's room to make changes without feeling like you've fallen off the wagon. There's room to enjoy some foods that you love that wouldn't be typically classed as healthy. So it's just those 3 simple nutrition rules as a nice, easy start. Rule number 1, 90% of the time, make your meals or food single ingredient foods. Rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. Rule number 3, track your food intake and hit your calories and macro targets every single day. Now, just a couple of things I want to add. When you start tracking, you'll find it a little bit tricky. So the first thing I want you to focus on is just hitting your calories. Don't worry about the macros, carbs, fats, protein. Too much. Just hit your calorie target. Then once you've got that nailed, aim for calories and protein and get those 2 things nailed. Then once you've got your calories and protein, then we can move on to hitting calories, protein, carbs and fats. If you really do struggle with this and you find it too tough, or maybe just completely new to tracking, a way to make it a bit easier is don't even worry about hitting specific calories or macro targets. Just get used to using the app, tracking your food and seeing how much you are eating each day, just to get a feel for it for a week or so. And once you feel comfortable with it, then go into tracking your calorie targets and then go on to hitting your macro goals later on. So, like I said, there are 3 nutrition rules. Rule number 1, 90% of the time, make your meals a variety of single ingredient foods. Rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. And rule number 3, track your food intake and hit your calories and macro targets every single day.